Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
And a happy Thursday to all who celebrate. He is Thor Nystrom from Matthew Berry's FantasyLife.com. And we're going to get into so many things here that have happened this week and an interesting Cooper Kupp report that we have to dive into. But a couple reminders and a shout out here before we jump into Thursday. Tonight, now I think technically the free sign up has ended, but they're open. They're open tonight just generally at Blackstack. And we're doing a Purple Daily Unplugged event to talk free agency and drink a couple Blackstack beers from 5 to 7 o'clock. Blackstack in St. Paul. I would direct you to the registration page, but I think it is closed off. But if you happen to wander in, it's free for anyone, and you happen to see the sports dad and you want to talk some free agency, we will do a Purple Daily Unplugged episode. Thor, you're invited as always. Maybe you have plans. It's up to you if you want to show up. But also Federated Mutual Insurance Company helping to power this Thursday here today. As a business owner, you want to make sure you have a great offensive line protecting your business, which is what the Purple might have now after their free agency frenzy week. Federated's all about risk management, safety, and preventing claims. And they do those things so you can stay focused on growing your business. You can find out about the 120-year history of this great company and all the industries they specialize in at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Real quick here. It's developing news is how I would characterize this. So Cooper Kupp was cut by the Rams. And according to Diana Rossini, Judge just texted us this right before the show here. So, Vikings Central is aggregating this here. Per Diana Rossini, Cooper Kupp has generated interest from the Seahawks, the Jaguars, the Packers, and the Vikings. Your thoughts on that, Thor?
I would sign Cooper Kupp for sure. And the Vikings still have cap room despite Kwesi going John Wick in free agency in the last couple of days, which is absolutely glorious. I can't get the smile off my face. But yeah, the Cooper Kupp interest, I'm totally down for that. There's obviously familiarity there. He would obviously be a fit in the offense. Thumbs up for me.
It feels like too, Thor, that at this stage of his career, he'd be joining what looks like a really good team. I don't know that a reduced workload would be the worst thing because he's been hurt quite a bit. So like it does seem, and you know, if you step into KO's offense, it's probably a lot like what he ran with the Rams and McVay. Long story short, I think this makes a lot of sense given the timing in Kupp's career. Because he'd be the 3 here, but if Jefferson gets hurt, I mean, we know almost certainly Jordan Addison's going to be suspended for 3 games at some point. Well, that's 3 games right there. So there would seem to me to be ample opportunity for Kupp here. And I think the circumstances at his age would be really, really damn good as far as the fit goes.
I totally agree with that. Yeah. And a guy that obviously has proven over the years, play outside, play inside, whatever you like with that. You mentioned the similarities between the offenses. And you know, I've said it before, say it again, the most advantageous position in professional football is being a wide receiver playing with Justin Jefferson. If Cooper Kupp wants to see the easiest coverage looks he's seen in his career, come on down to Minneapolis.
Yeah, I'm skeptical that he would agree to be the number 3 wide receiver. I almost feel like there'd have to be another shoe to drop to clear, because the Vikings aren't going to pay him as a number 1 or number 2. I wonder if like Jacksonville would, or Seattle really needs a number 2 wide receiver. Are you really going to run? This is not, maybe you tell me I'm wrong on this, Thor, but I feel like if McCarthy is the starting quarterback, and we will talk about the reports otherwise shortly, are you going to run 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers as often as maybe Kevin O'Connell has a couple years ago? Or are you going to want to put the extra tight end out there, Josh Oliver? You're going to want to run the ball with that offensive line. So if you're not putting a 3rd wide receiver on the field all that often, I just don't know that it makes, like, it's fun from a fantasy perspective. Yes, Cooper Kupp, let's make it happen. He'd have to really compromise his role, I think, and targets and snap counts for that to work, or the Vikings would have to be all in on 11 personnel like the Rams were for 2 or 3 years.
Two different things. As far as the first thing about the other team's interest, I was just thinking in my head, well, Cooper Kupp is going to have to decide, do you want more money in a situation where you're going to get more targets, or do you want to sign with a legitimate Super Bowl contender? And I just thought, like, I don't know the last time I thought that about the Vikings. Like, we're in sort of a special era of time right now, I feel like, and I think there is a real shot that Cooper Kupp could leave money on the table to sign with the Super Bowl contending Minnesota Vikings. I think it's the most advantageous spot for him. Certainly, you look at a guy, in 2021, he had 1,301 snaps played. The year before, 903. Year before, 884. 3 years since, 531, 767, 734. Between the time where Addison hypothetically would be suspended and you're a full-time player, and then the mix and match wide receiver 3 stuff, and then of course injury insurance as well, you would be projecting him for around that 700 snap number, which seems to be about the max load capacity for his body at this point. I feel that this would be the best situation for him really all the way around, except for arguably money, which he might leave on the table to sign here because of where the team is at right now.
Except for the fact that he is going to, because he didn't get traded, he is going to walk away from the Rams with a $5 million goodbye. He's guaranteed that. He's going to, so he could, if you're O'Connell, you could sit Cooper down and say, look, we'll use you. You're at a point in your career where we've got a chance to win. We'll use you correctly, and you might not get as much from us, but McVay and the boys are paying you. So, like, I think when you put it all together, Thorsky, you're right. I think the decision is, do I just want to go to a place where I'll be used a lot and make a little bit more, or be part of a team? And, keep in mind, too, Justin Jefferson, unfortunately, 2 years ago, got hurt. Addison missed time last year, hurt. He's going to be suspended. I think all of that works itself out as far as playing time goes. And Kupp, has had injury issues too. So the $5 million that he's going to get guaranteed from the Rams, to me, makes the hit of taking a little bit less in Minnesota more palatable.
100%. Yeah. And I think, Cooper Kupp right now, he's going to be 32 in June. He probably has 2 years left, maybe 3. He has taken injuries in his career, but he is still for the what the Vikings would be looking for. He is still capable of doing that, right? Like, it's a guy who has never had a PFF grade beneath 71 in his career, including the last couple years. So, like, it's yeah, and you just keep that snap count down. I think Cooper Kupp would appreciate that, right? Like, it's certainly the next year the snap count being cut down. So yeah, it's just about what he prioritizes. But I think there's a real shot that the things that he prioritizes are the things that the Vikings could provide for him. Yeah.
I mean, just last point on this, Thor, is that the pitch to Cooper Kupp is pretty compelling. Top 5 defense, all these weapons loaded all over the place, offensive line upgrade, and you're going to have Aaron Rodgers throwing you passes. It's, I mean, it is like a really compelling case for Cooper Kupp.
He's trolling you already, Thor. Look at Thor. He can't even look at the camera anymore. No, he can't look at the camera.
Thor.
Here's the latest. Here's the latest. Diana Rossini.
I saw him at the airport.
Diana Rossini, well, this is from yesterday, that Vikings decision makers are still evaluating their options at quarterback, including the possibility of signing Aaron Rodgers. The 4-time MVP is intrigued, of course, by the idea of playing in Minnesota. Every quarterback is intrigued by playing in Minnesota. For now, it's a waiting game, sources tell Mike Silver and me. And then our guy Kevin Seifert on the local angle said the Vikings have at least been entertaining the possibility internally of what it would look like to add Aaron Rodgers to this quarterback room. They have not signed a backup. Like, the backups are coming. It is a little weird that, all right, we're all in on McCarthy, but you're not going to go without a safety net. Like, Daniel Jones would have been great. Maybe he priced himself out going to Indy. And there's still a Cooper Kupp out there, and there's Joe Flacco could come in here. So there's still some names. But it is interesting that you have credible reporters coming in and saying, Yeah, they're thinking about this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a situation where the guy has 2 offers from teams that need starting quarterbacks, and he is waiting for an offer to join the Super Bowl contender that hasn't come and is not coming. That's what's going on here. They're trying to draw an offer out of the Vikings. Who do you think is giving Diana Rossini and all those people who do you think's giving them that information? You think it's the Vikings, or you think it's
I don't think it's Rodgers specifically, because he clown her on the McAfee show like a year ago.
Yes, he did.
But his agent is obviously driving a lot of this for sure. So yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is a guy who the quarterback desperate New York Jets are paying $49 million this year in dead cap hit to go away. They said for $49 million, we would rather have the dead cap hit of $49 million than have you on the roster. A quarterback desperate franchise that knew that the best odds of where he was going to go was to their crosstown rival. And people are pretending this guy's a good quarterback. Let me look you in the camera right now. JJ McCarthy is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers right now. The Minnesota Vikings will be a better team next year with JJ McCarthy starting than they would be with Aaron Rodgers. There is no, if we sign Rodgers, we have a better shot to be a Super Bowl contender. We have a better shot to be a Super Bowl contender with JJ McCarthy as a starter in 2025. It goes without saying that the years after that, the best course of action would be to go with McCarthy. This is all being drummed up by Aaron Rodgers' side. And the only other thing I have to say, Aaron Rodgers is done. The guy's done. He has the world's largest fork sticking out of his back. I do not understand this fetishizing for old career Aaron Rodgers. The guy is a broken down Ford Taurus right now. And we have a Ferrari coming out of the garage. Let's focus on the Ferrari.
So I agree. And on the show that we did on Wednesday evening, said essentially the same type of things, Thor. But the reality is this. I trust Seifert a lot, and I think that the Vikings are considering it or have talked about it. So like yes, I think the Rodgers camp is driving a lot of this, as he must be texting you.
That's
right
Aaron
now.
right now. He's like, no,
he's
listen,
like,
you don't
he's
get
like,
it.
listen, Nystrom, you don't understand.
I'm going to put the fork in your back,
Yeah,
Thor.
Here comes the fork. But anyway, the Vikings are considering it, or at least they did, and that's where I'm a little bit concerned, because to me, the discussion is if they go in this direction, unless they know something about McCarthy that they have not discussed publicly.
Yeah.
It just seems to me to fly in the face of common sense. The Darnold thing was great. But Darnold was an unknown. He was a baby, and you took him and you developed him. You were the first team. Rodgers, I don't know, but it feels weird, and I will tell you that I trust Kevin implicitly, and I do think that the Vikings have discussed or are discussing this, and every quarterback, like the backup list, Mac Jones, blah, 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 that comes off the board makes me a little bit concerned about what is going on about 3 suburbs away from me here in the park.
Well, first of all, I'll say the backup quarterback options out there, I think are totally fine right now. In fact, I quite like a couple of them. Gardner Minshew is my boy. I like the aura that he would bring, the McCarthy Minshew quarterback room. Mm-hmm. But you toss out a couple other names. There's no dearth of acceptable backup quarterback options right now. So that stuff is fine. The other thing that you mentioned of, if there's something that McCarthy that's not known about McCarthy, if that was the case, they would have brought back Sam Darnold. The last thing I would say is people out there, you work in like an office building, and there's like 80 people in the office. And if you had to get together every day to agree on lunch, who is catering lunch that day, before you would, as you would have options all over the place. And there would be one person who's like, Quiznos, and another person who's like McDonald's. And you would have people advocating for other ideas than the majority. That's what's happening with the Rodgers thing. There are a couple people in that building that are like, well, I think we should talk about this. I think we should consider this. It is Aaron Rodgers. Right. And so yes, by definition, there is discussion about it. That's not going to lead to anything.
Yeah,
it's the one guy who's like, come on, let's get McDonald's. And they're like, no, man, that's McDonald's time came and went.
But the McRib is back. What do you guys? It's the McRib.
Pizza
Come
again?
on.
We're eating steak, and this guy wants McDonald's. Man, we got Manny's coming.
But Thor, what I told these guys yesterday, and I'll preface it again, just like I did yesterday. I'm ready for the J.J. McCarthy era. I think that dude's going to be a stud, and I think he's a 10-year solution at quarterback. And I also wonder, in a moment of quiet in his office, Kevin O'Connell, as he thinks about and reflects on the 14 wins a year ago, the moves they've made this week to solidify some of their weaknesses. The defense might be better than it was last year, which is wild. The offensive line, they were hell-bent on bringing in a better pass-protecting veteran center to help with J.J. McCarthy or whoever is the quarterback. And they've done all these things, and you said it, dude, like they are legit Super Bowl contenders, and we will have that discussion on this show throughout the entire offseason. And he is a quarterback connoisseur and whisperer and historian and an appreciator of the quarterback position. And man, wouldn't it be fun for 1 year in my career? This is the only chance I'm ever going to have to work with Aaron Rodgers one time. If that's not a little bit intriguing to him. That's my theory on what's happening behind closed doors right now.
Yeah, I mean, 5 minutes before I came on the show, I was like, man, a Happy Meal. That could be, you think about it for a glancing second, but we're not going to get that Happy Meal because then I'm going to get indigestion after. Judge Point was tremendous yesterday about all this. Like, Judd, you were on fire yesterday. I didn't know if I could get through that whole episode. I thought I was going to get triggered. There was a couple of times that I was sort of micro triggered, but man, Judd, holding the wall was absolutely
I was trying to macro trigger you, and I'm disappointed if I only micro triggered you.
But no, I mean, like, that's just where we're at right now. You would have to, give it thought. Like you have to give every possibility thought, right? It's, Kwesi is the Doctor Strange guy. You will think about every possibility. You will think about every reality and every door you could walk through and what move that could lead to after that. Of course, Kevin O'Connell would too, especially with regards to the quarterback position. You are going to consider all possibilities. That's what it takes to build a Super Bowl contending roster, right? You can't get myopic on anything. So yeah, you're going to think about the possibility. You're going to talk about the possibilities, but at the end of the day, you prefer to eat Manny's to McDonald's.
Oh man, the Purple Persuasion just dunked on Thor on Twitter because Thor used the Ferrari analogy on Twitter. And Purple Persuasion says, does Kevin O'Connell want Dale Earnhardt or Dale Earnhardt Jr. driving his Ferrari? Well, I will say
that could go in a lot of bad ways.
In the last race they raced together.
That could end up being really tasteless, so I'm going to stay away as far as possible from that one.
Man, Purple, he's my boy. He's trying there, but
he does a good job.
I don't know if I go with the Dale Earnhardt with
No, did you see his last race? No,
and as much as I want to take that metaphor to dunk on Aaron Rodgers, I don't think my brain's like, don't go there. Don't go there.
Exactly. Let's go with two people, both alive, and then we can go to town on that one.
I don't know. You guys seen Owen Hart against Bret Hart? I'm not sure about that one. Don't do it.
Just don't. So Thor, from the speculation bin to the what we know to be true bin.
Yeah.
This free agency period, and I know it's some older guys, and I know that there were injuries at least to deal with last year, but my God, like we had been banging the table, right? You got to strengthen interior, the defensive line, the offensive line, a lot of stuff. Cornerback, you got to at least bring Murphy back. Can you say grand slam home run thus far? And this defense now, I mean, we're looking at a top 5.
Yeah, and that might be
maybe the top one.
I was going to say top 3 there, and they ain't done yet. That first round, their top pick, that is going to be funneled to the defense as well, and they're not done signing guys yet. Grand slam, absolutely. Kwesi from the back of the batter's box, you were swinging for the fences, and boy did he connect. Like in that first day, it's funny because you got to the sort of the evening of that first tampering day or whatever, and people are already starting to grumble about Kwesi. People always grumble about Kwesi.
It's been 45 minutes and they haven't signed 5 guys yet. What's happening?
I wasn't quite as pessimistic, because you're hearing stuff about the guys that they're working on, and it's like this could start to get really interesting really quick. And the fireworks started, right the next morning. Right, it's just bang, 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 bang. A guy who hasn't had free agent cap room, he hasn't had the flexibility yet in his tenure. A guy who would talk the entire he takes over a franchise where Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. The old guard Minnesota Vikings, more or less constructed by Rick Spielman and Zimmer. Kwesi had talked all along about his desire to get a rookie quarterback in under that rookie contract and then construct that super team around him. And for 3 years, he worked at this. Again, Dr. Strange, every transaction leading to the next transaction, to get to the point of earlier this week where all of a sudden he was sitting on a war chest of ammunition, and that guy loaded up. He kicked down the door and he started firing. All the needs that we had talked about so far this offseason, it was one by one, bang, 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 bang. And like more guys than we thought that the Vikings would be able to sign. You were talking about the offseason blueprint episodes. We didn't like if you put in all the guys that the Vikings have gotten to this point, the comments would have been filled with that's not realistic, and they ain't done yet. So like hats off to Kwesi, a guy who saw through his vision. The first season and the last season were both of those seasons. Was it the 14 wins and they were 13 wins, tremendous both those 2 seasons. The middle season, you have all the biblical plague of injuries. There was nothing you could do about that. But Kwesi, in those 3 years, he saw through his vision. He had 2 super tough quarterback decisions. He looks down the barrel of both of those, makes the correct decision. He retools the entire roster to get to this point. He sees through his vision as the Vikings were winning. That 3-year period, it was the competitive rebuild to get to this point where you construct a Super Bowl winner. And they won throughout that. I'm so impressed with Kwesi. I want that extension signed yesterday. I don't understand why he gets the guff that he does. I am wildly impressed. That guy painted his portrait these last couple days.
The other thing he has done so far here too, and you have been a proponent of playing the comp pick equation game over the years. So, I think a lot of fans and people who maybe consume Purple Daily and other podcasts, you're not immersed in the weeds of NFL personnel ramifications and things. But essentially, in free agency, if you lose more outgoing players in value to other teams than you sign, you are eligible in the comp pick equation to get extra draft picks the following year. So like last year, the Vikings signed some guys, but they also lost Kirk Cousins on a 4-year, $180 million deal, which was like the mothership of all the contracts. And it balanced out so that the Vikings got an additional 3rd-round pick in the 2025 draft. And they just announced that officially yesterday. So to this point in this week's equation, Sam Darnold is kind of the outlier mothership contract here. You got Will Fries and Cam Bynum cancel out. Ryan Kelly and Daniel Jones cancel out. And then Isaiah Rodgers and Patrick Jones II cancel out. And Sam Darnold is going to net the Vikings a projected 3rd-round comp pick in the 2026 draft. But that's not all. If the Vikings lose Cam Robinson, which they will, Vikings fans, you should be praying for Cam Robinson to sign a big contract with the Patriots or someone else. Because if they do, or if he does, they could wind up getting a 3rd or a 4th round pick in addition. So you might wind up with like 2 really good middle round draft picks. And part of the geniusness here is if you sign players who were cut by their team as opposed to being free agents, Javon Hargrave, Jonathan Allen would count there. They don't count toward the comp pick equation. This wasn't Cooper Kupp. This wasn't just like an accident. The Vikings planned for this to happen while they were hitting the home runs they did all week long.
It's just so glorious. Yeah, I mean, because, and that was clearly part of the strategy. We want Kwesi to start playing the comp pick game, and he's doing that while he built this Colossus roster here. To your point, like the targeting of guys that were released, I thought was genius. the price points he gave out, I thought that they were all strong, right? Like, he held the wall, right? Like on the price points, like even, and that's how he was able to get the collection that he was, but playing the comp pick game in addition to that, that third round comp pick this year, how valuable is that? Right, like in the circumstance that the Vikings are in, having that pick super valuable and
could be your new starting running back in 2 years.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it could be a guy that gets 150 touches or so this coming season on a Super Bowl contender. I can't stop saying it, but in those, it's true. It's crazy, man. Like it's crazy. We back.
Song can't play without the flag.
Yeah, and in these future years, you give out these contracts now, right? Like you're not going to have quite that. You have the rookie contract still going forward. What do you need now? You need to augment that with draft picks, right? Which Kwesi is now. He's like planting the trees, and it's like, well, you're not going to see that thing grow till next spring, but we already got those things coming up. You're acquiring day 2 picks for free. I mean, this is the game being played at a high level, folks. You brought in the rookie contract quarterback, able to augment the rest of the roster while you are taking in comp picks. You're now playing the system from every angle. It is all funneling back to the Vikings. All this excess value, the analytical Wall Street guys like, yeah, I'll suck that up. Right? Like the excess value is coming this way. We are taking the comp pick game. We are going to take the cheat code rookie contract. We have this Colossus roster, and we're going to have more draft picks than you next year. So it's looking good. It's looking good.
And Will Fries is the only player signed beyond three years.
Yeah.
So he got a really nice contract. But besides that, it's all short term. So you can pivot too. Like it is a very, very impressive job of the economical going for it, but not tying yourself up in salaries long term. It's really impressive.
You still have all the flexibility, and again, no matter the circumstance, growing those draft picks and not hamstringing yourself, you will still have that flexibility going forward. Kwesi talked a lot about the flexibility aspect as well, vis-a-vis the cap. Right. Yep. And how no matter what happened, they always wanted to have more doors. You wanted to have more outs, right? It's like sitting at the poker table. You don't want to be down. This is a metaphor for you, Phil. You don't want to be down to your last out. In every circumstance, you want to have the multiple outs, whatever. Kwesi, with these transactions, the way it is set up, there are escape hatches everywhere. Right, they will not get penned into a room where it's like, oh man, now we have to start getting myopic with our transactions. Right, you retain that flexibility going forward, the nimbleness, and you see what happens when that dude has flexibility.
Yeah. Well, let's do the next logical thing, which is to mock.
Oh baby, let's go.
We will do this is gonna be a fun one because we'll do a mock draft simulation with one of the foremost draft experts in the country, Thor Nystrom here, and we'll do it based on not a blueprint. We'll do it based on reality, what actually happened this week and what they need here. And before we do that, though, let's say hello to our friends at Padres, Judd, over in Minneapolis, slinging brews.
They are indeed, and they're slinging brews because all that they do, as you look at the sports dad right there with a couple of beers, what Padres does is one thing. They make beer. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not working on 18 other concoctions of drinks and trying to be cute. They are simply doing beer, and guess what? They are outstanding. I've talked about this for a while now, but they're red. If you want a red, and reds have not been really big, I feel like, since the 90s. Their Irish red is fantastic. They've got an Irish dry stout, English IPA. I could go on down the list, but find out for yourself. Padres located in the old Land O'Nod factory at the corner of Broadway and Central Avenues in Northeast, or 6-packs available in a bunch of stores: Kowalski's, Haskell's, Hy-Vee, Total Wine, Cub, MGM. So check them out. They are absolutely great because they're only doing one thing. They're only doing beer.
Minnesota Rusco does a lot of things. They remodel, and by the way, they've been Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. Look, see, Thor's catching on now.
You got it. Not 85, baby.
I got it.
Cody and Casey. Since 1985, plus 30 additional years. Windows, doors, siding, bathrooms, kitchens, decks, and roofing. And you can take advantage of the March offer where everything at Minnesota Rusco is 20% off right now. No interest and no monthly payments for a full year as part of that deal. So call today. If you're thinking about turning that remodel into a reality, maybe you can be like Tim, as I'm reading the reviews here on their website. Very satisfied with Minnesota Rusco's service and quality. The windows and doors they installed for us were high quality. Also pleased with the installer. Fast and professional. Very clean and ready to put the house back together. Rave reviews about Minnesota Rusco. MinnesotaRusco.com to schedule your remodel. And then, Judd, the Northwest Sports Show is in town as well before we get to our mock.
Yes, in fact, it's going on today through Sunday. Find the newest in fishing and outdoor gear, boats, RVs, travel, power sports, and more. Check out the seminars from your favorite outdoor experts, plus explore family-friendly features across the show, including their new RV area. Tomorrow is Friday Night Fish Fry Night. Who does not love a good fish fry? Adults 13 plus at the box office, only $15. Adults 13 plus if you buy online, $13. Children ages 12 and under, free with a paid admission of an adult. Plus, save $4 on tickets by simply doing the promo code SCORE at northwestsportshow.com. Going on right now, Minneapolis Convention Center today through Sunday, excuse me. It is the Northwest Sports Show.
I want to mock!
You'll see this on your screen here. We are choosing the Vikings. We are sitting here with the 24th pick right now. We've got the 24th pick. We've got the 97th, the 140, and the 161. So a first, a third, and 2/5. I'm just going to start the draft here, boys, and let's get to the 24th pick, and then we can decide. I'm guessing Thor's going to desperately want to trade back. But biggest needs right now before we start. Let's say running back for sure. I would still say interior defensive line, even though you've got your two studs right now. They're both over 30, right?
Yeah, getting the one more piece there, and now you can do the rotation thing. If you have one legit monster kind of kid that's available to you talk about how crazy that defensive line could get. But yeah, thumbs up for me on interior defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
It's a secondary still. You know, you got Byron Murphy Jr. back and Isaiah Rodgers, really interesting piece. And Mekhi Blackman. So the good news is you're not desperate at any of these positions anymore because the work was, you should almost be leaning best player available first before you even go need. But I will start the draft here and we'll see what shakes out.
And Phil, to the point that you just made, I was having this conversation with a buddy yesterday about when was the last time the Vikings went into a draft? Like you're in draft week and there wasn't a gun to your head of you must take one of these few positions that you have an absolute gaping hole at. If you don't get a guy who could immediately step in, who now you have to trust right after you picked him to step in and plug that hole for you. When's the last time that you went into a draft where it's like, there is no guns to the Vikings heads of you must take this position, right? It speaks to how well the roster has been constructed. And now from this vantage point, right, where you're not playing from deficit, right? I mean, that's what Kwesi had to do these last couple off seasons because of some of the holes on the roster, some of the lack of flexibility, the cap situation that it brought you. You now get into this situation where you don't have the glaring holes if we have to take this position. You're now sitting more in a Howie Roseman type seat, right? Or Ozzie Newsome back in the day. Every single year, those guys, they just wait for the ones that they wait for the NFL to push mistake gifts down to them, right? Like, we'll just take the gift, right? Like every year you see guys start to fall down. If you're not where you have the gun to your head, if you have to take this position, you can just do that BPA type ethos. That's how you keep building these super rosters, even when the rookie quarterback that you have, if you have to give him a second contract there, you have less flexibility. You built up the roster this way. That's how you keep having the Colossus roster going forward.
Yeah. So Cam Ward goes number 1 to the Titans. And just a couple highlight featured picks here. Giants take Travis Hunter at 3. Abdul Carter, the edge rusher, to the Patriots at 4. Ashton Ginty to the Jets at 7. Really interesting there. And I mean, Shedeur Sanders continues to tumble down these mock drafts. So Vikings on the board at 24. 7 trade offers. I'll show you the board here. Yeah. Derek Harmon and Darius Alexander and Walter Nolan are the top interior defensive linemen, with Omarion Hampton as the top running back available.
Zabel there too. Yeah.
Gray Zabel, the the tackle slash.
Yeah, this would be a good scenario for the Vikings. There's a bunch of dudes here. So, yeah, we're trading down. Let's see them offers.
So the first offer is from, and you won't be able to see all these. I'll just shout them out. So here's the offers. Rams at 26, so jumping 2 spots back. Chiefs at 31. Titans at 35. Niners at 43. And then it's Dolphins at 48. Now we're going way back.
Let's start with the Titans, and then we'll go to the Chiefs if we can't get one with them.
Okay, Titans at 35, so moving 11 spots back. We swap the 24 and the 35. Let's ask for their 102. It's a yes. Can we get them to throw in more? The 119 is a yes.
Oh, wow.
Wait, their whole draft? There's no way.
That can't
be right, dude.
There's a bug.
They're literally saying, I mean, Thor, you got your value chart.
Yeah.
That to move up 11 spots, that the Titans would give up the 102, the 119, the 142, and the 168.
I mean, Phil, if you try,
it's actually that from a value the issue, and maybe we'll have to negotiate with the Chiefs on this one, is without having that other top 100 pick with the Titans, they must traded their 3rd round pick. So I'm not sure. But without that, the accruing of value with those other picks, this trade here, 24 for 35, 102, 119, 142, 168, it's 237 points for 251 on my chart.
Wow.
So that's actually more or less a fair trade. But I would rather, like, if I'm going to move down, we need to get the other top 100 pick, and so let's do the Chiefs instead. I was hoping that we could get, as opposed to those 5, we want the higher pick with the second one.
So they've got the 63, the 66, and the 95. Let's say it's the 66, and then we kick in the 161. There's a 61% chance. We could also just ask for the 95, and that's a yes. Plus the 132 is a yes.
Let's try for the 66. And what was the percent on that?
The 66 alone is a 45% chance to be accepted. So we'd have to probably kick in the 161.
So 24 for 31 and 66, right?
Yeah, that is a 45. I can offer it.
On my chart, that is 237 points for 266. Let's give it a shot with the offer, and then we can.
Let's just see if they say yes. They accepted it. Let's go.
Bam.
All right.
Bam. Yeah, I wanted that other that higher up pick, so that's.
So we now have the 31, the 66, the 97, the 140, and the 160.
Look at those guys that are available. What a coup this would be. You have Derek Harmon and Nolan staring at you right there. They should, and Zabel. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
And so I think we should stick and pick here just for time purposes. But you could also trade back with one of the, well, just for fun here, one of the 5 teams. The Bears at 39 would be 8 spots back, and then the Cowboys at 44 would be 13 spots back.
It's too far back. If we gotten one, 30, 35, 36, we could have done that. Okay. But yeah, it's too far back because I want, one of boys, I can kick it to you because we got an embarrassment of riches here. Derek Harmon and Walter Nolan, I both think are really good fits for the IDL thing that we talked about. Both those guys would be fabulous platoon guys coming in off the bench. You could do that thing. You could get them. It's not going to be quote unquote full time, but if you're the primary backup to 3 different positions with the mixing and matching,
yes,
they're going to get heavy rotational work as rookies. And then, Phil, you mentioned the short-term contracts. Some of these different guys. That's a guy who will be stepping into the starting lineup there soon. So you can do that. Or Gray Zabel is the other option here. You pick Gray Zabel, you're starting to build a behemoth offensive line. And we do have extra stuff there, right? Like right now, the other guard position, the left guard position, it would be between Brendel, ostensibly Garrett Bradbury after a position change if they cannot trade him, and then Ed Ingram. Zabel's taken that job from day one. So it just depends. Would you guys rather go with the starting guard who has 5 position versatility in Gray Zabel? So the line, the depth of the offensive line as well, you've now jived that. Or you can get the War Daddy interior defensive lineman, either Harmon or Nolan, and build that thing up.
War Daddy really intrigues me.
Jed, you make the call here. Do you want
Derek
defense?
Harmon.
Derek, you're going Derek Harmon from Oregon?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're taking Derek Harmon.
Love a War Daddy.
Pass rusher from Oregon.
Great for
very disruptive, right. Derek Harmon. Very, very disruptive.
So we're back on the clock. We have 2 third-round picks, the 66 and the 97. And there's Cam Scadaboo sitting there as the top player on the board. I'll scroll down here. Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. This is kind of running back territory here. And then now we're getting into like players ranked 80th.
Go back up to the running backs.
Yeah, did Caleb Johnson, did they have him as a second rounder?
Yeah, it looks like he's off the board. Yeah, okay. Caleb Johnson.
There's your guy, Devin Neal.
Oh, 48.
He's at 48. Yeah.
The Dolphins ain't going to take him, but that would be a good, really good fit for the Vikings. But yeah, that's Phil. Go back to the overall one. I don't think we got to pull the trigger on the running back. Let's see. Is it what pick is this right now?
We are at pick 66. Yep.
Okay.
I would be thinking best player available here. I don't think we need to go aggressively into needs other than a running back at some point here in the next 3 picks.
Ursary would be interesting too. Potential position convert there coming in from the goals. I think that is potential late first round type talent. I think he's going to go in the second. I don't think he's going to be here. You could try the guard thing with him. And again, the offensive line, the depth is going to be ridiculous at that point. We haven't taken. Come on down, Ursary.
Let's do it.
We're keeping him home.
Ursary, we're keeping him in Minnesota. It's another beefy human. Could stand in front of JJ McCarthy.
Could turn him into an enforcer of a guard, right? And then you have again the tackle versatility there with that guy.
Football.
Oh baby,
we're back on the clock with the 97 here. The top running back available is your guy Devin Neal from Kansas.
Good value.
I think you know where this pick is going.
There we go.
It's Devin Neal time, baby. Come on down.
Devin Neal from Kansas, and now we're back with the 140 and the 161 here in the 5th round. Three trade offers.
Yeah. Let's look at the trade offers. I want to get another
155, 185, 192. So
is that the only one?
Those are the only 3.
Let's see.
155, the 185. So it's the Giants, the Saints, and the Broncos. The 155 would be 15 spots back.
So yeah, I mean, if the Giants gave us 155, 221, 248, that's analogous value for 140. I would do that.
Yep, let's do it. Let's offer it up. We'll get the 2 7th-round picks. They accepted it because
we got our dart throw. I got to do my Rick Spielman trades. I love my dart throws in late round.
You're being booed right now.
So we're back on the clock with the 155 and the 161. Here's what the board looks like.
So we have our interior defensive lineman. We have our guard dash tackle. I'm counting Ursary as a convert to the inside, and then we have our running back right now, right? That's where we're at.
Yep. So there's some defensive positions we could be looking at. Cornerback, secondary, maybe linebacker, wide receiver could be in play.
Safety. Okay.
Kobe King is a guy you've mentioned before. I feel like.
Wait. We haven't taken a cornerback yet, right?
No.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's pull up the corners for me really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Hussey.
Let's see here. Okay, Elijah Hussey from North Carolina, the top-ranked corner.
This one, even my friend Purple Persuasion, who tried to dunk on me earlier while we were live, shout out to Purple Persuasion. His sleeper of the cornerback group is a guy that I like as well. It's O'Donnell Fortune. We haven't talked about him yet, so let's do so now. This is a guy who would be a fit for this defense, and I do think that I agree with Purple Persuasion on this one. I do think that that's a fit for Flores' defense. Let's take Mr. Fortune.
O'Donnell Fortune.
Yeah, baby.
Down to the Minnesota Vikings.
Fortune.
Okay. And we're back on the clock with
we
the 161.
We just acquired a Fortune with a 5th-round pick.
Wow. The puns are highly intended.
We got a Fortune. We got Fries. Some of these names are just absolutely incredible.
Upton Stout is another great name from Western Kentucky safety.
So now we got, let's see. Next on the hit list, we got running back IDL, cornerback, got our Iowa. So yeah, safety, linebacker, other positions.
I'm going to shout out Jeremiah Cyril's client, Logan Brown, here for slaying the combine. And he's your guy at Kansas.
Yeah, and a guy who was paving the holes for Devin Neal last year. But Logan Brown's attractive. He was a former top recruit.
Is this a Cody Lindenberg situation here?
This might be a Cody Lindenberg situation here. We get the linebacker depth. Let's pop Cody now. Ursary and Cody, come on down. We're keeping you home.
PJ,
right?
Very happy.
PJ
is absolutely loving it right now.
And then the 221 and the 248, we're taking flyers here. Oh, you want to keep going Gophers? Throw another quarterback into quarterback rehab school, Max Brosner?
I'm sorry, Max. We're
Okay.
So let's see. Safety, cornerback, and what other positions?
Safety for sure. Otherwise,
wide receiver,
players you
tight
love.
End?
Yeah, tight end could be in play here. How about I do that? I'm going to throw up the tight ends, the wide receivers, and the safeties, and you can take a peek here. Take a little gander.
Ooh,
Arande Gadsden.
Yeah, Gadsden, I've been taking in some of these. It's a big slot guy, but the Vikings, they like to throw to the tight end, and that's a guy that could come in, these mix and match type formations. He ain't gonna block for you. Can't play him in line. He's a skilled receiver, though. I'm curious to see what his athletic profile is, but he caught a lot of balls at Syracuse. Hey, Phil, can you give me just a quick scroll down on the rest of them? Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't want any of those guys.
All due respect to their families.
Yeah, two picks left.
All due respect. Yeah, Phil. Let's go with Gadsden with this one. You're going to get a mix and match tight end for you in your 12 personnel groupings, where you can create mismatches with him as a slot. In the intermediate area.
And then with our final pick here, I would just pick a player that you think is interesting at the 248.
Special teams contributor, perhaps.
Well, you guys know how much I love Fairchild. So Fairchild, he can be. We didn't get our boy Wilson. Let's get him.
Okay.
All right.
Love Fairchild.
So here's the grading. PFF will judge us harshly.
Give us an A.
An A on the Derek Harmon. A- on the Devin Neal. It's an A-. An A- from PFF there. Okay.
I mean, we'll take it.
But the Gopher. Cody Lindenberg. What's wrong with that?
It was a little bit of a reach in terms of ranking.
When are they going to give us our straight A that we deserve? And by the way, Cody Lindenberg, the Minnesota Pro Day is coming up. Where did we just get him? 161. And, maybe that's the way he viewed around the industry. Let me look into the camera one last time in this episode. After that Pro Day workout, Cody Lindenberg will no longer be available at 161, and he is no longer going to be viewed as a round 5 pick. Get your popcorn ready for when Cody Lindenberg takes the field for the athletic test at that Pro Day.
He's going higher.
Let's
go.
That kid is a way better athlete in an enormous size than people realize, and I think he is about to prove it. So you're going to see Cody Lindenberg in future incarnations of this thing. We're not going to be able to get him at 161.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing many iterations of these going forward here, because now we know what the actual needs are, and we can have some fun with this. So Thor Nystrom from Matthew Berry's fantasylife.com, and you can find him on X/Twitter at ThorKU. Great stuff, dude. What a week. So much fun. And we'll see you next Thursday, sir.
Welcome to the golden era of Minnesota Vikings football.
Yeah, there's
starring JJ McCarthy.
That's right.
In 2026, after Aaron Rodgers leads this team. No, you guys are probably
right. Don't make him do it.
After Kirk Cousins comes back to glory. All right, we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, preferably with JJ McCarthy, but we'll see.
And we're going to get one.